Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. This is going to be a reading on Republicans leaving the House in retirement. But first, a public service announcement regarding my other channel, Tarot of the Seven Seas. On Tarot of the Seven Seas tonight, I did a reading on Vladimir Putin and Navalny. Basically asking, what was the message or the energy around Navalny's death? Why did Putin want to do this? And somebody had asked, well, did prison guards accidentally kill him or did Putin order it? So I looked into that too. I looked into whether or not the body would be released and why is it taking so long to release it? And then lastly, I looked into what message was Putin trying to send with the death of Navalny. So if you want to see the answers to these, please go over to Tarot of the Seven Seas. I have a link in my community page. I'll also include a link in this video. Go and check it out. If you would, and I appreciate it, go ahead and subscribe to that channel too. And you'll get more information on the Navalny murder, as well as, readings, international readings that focus mostly on the EU. Okay, now that I've pimped that channel enough, let's focus on this one. I've been wanting to use that hat for a while. It's my wife's. Anyway, this reading is about, this reading is kind of linking a video that I put up last night. And it was about the Democrats potentially using a legislative maneuver to get the Ukraine funding bill to the House floor. And to do that, they could force a vote, but they need to have a majority of the House agree with them to get the vote forced. And, one person was, last name, I think it was Bacon, who was open to the idea because he knows that Israel needs the funding soon. And he was open to the idea of pursuing this vote. And the Democrats only need a few votes in order to do this. Now, you might say, well, what Republican's going to do that? Well, here are the Republicans that might do that. And I'll have this link to this story in there as well. There's the Republicans have had some recent high-profile retirements announced by their colleagues, including those powerful committee chairs and rising stars. Ken Buck of Colorado is one person who's retiring. Basically, the GOP is not doing serious things. It was Don Bacon from Nebraska. He's a moderate who pointed the party's struggles to govern as his departure. Representative Carlos Jimenez of Florida. He was an ally of Kevin McCarthy. And he basically said he thought the members of Congress and the House GOP would be smarter. And he's frustrated with what's going on. And they're being made to look foolish. So far, 23 GOP lawmakers have decided not to seek re-election. And that's key. There's 23 people not looking for re-election. The only reason why you keep up the insanity of the MAGA crowd and Mike Johnson is because you're trying to be re-elected. When you're not trying to be re-elected, you cast off those chains and you can start putting country above party because you're not going to be in that position anymore. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be jobs later on that you might want, but for some of those people, they're going to retire from politics altogether. Others, Energy and Commerce Chair Kathy Morris of Washington, Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin, who's a 39-year-old who's an up-and-comer. And he basically is leaving Congress because he voted against impeaching Mayorkas the first time, maybe both times. Who else do they have on here? Let's see. Is Tom Cole another one of those? Mark Green of Tennessee is in there. Debbie Lesko of Arizona, who announced her retirement. Steve Womack of Arkansas. So this article just lists person after person after person. And these are the people. These are the 23 people. Now, you may not get all of them, but you only need about 3 or 4. So, a quarter of those 23 people. Not even that. 15% of those 23 people. If you can get 1 in 5, that's enough to get this thing on the floor. So I wanted to throw cards on these 23 retiring House reps, those are the ones, and again, Don Bacon was the one I referenced yesterday, and he's on this list. Will some subset of this group, or a big enough subset of this group, decide to work with the Democrats and get the Ukraine funding bill onto the House floor for debate? Okay, entertainment purposes only. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what do we get? Seven of Cups. Integrity, illusions, and delusions. So, again, a lot of these congressmen are disillusioned with the path that the Republican Party has taken. And, now they have to, when they've retired, they can vote their values and not what the party's telling them to. They can put country ahead of party. They can look at what's valuable either for them or for the country, and they can reject what harms them or harms the country. So it's about integrity. They can also just look at the MAGA faction of the House GOP and say those guys are a bunch of nutcases here. But here's what they're doing. They can look at what's the short-term versus long-term gains. What helps me. Where are my values? And, do I lower my values to maintain the party line? Do I lower my future income and speak my mind? They have to weigh what it is that they're going to do. And again, the Two of Coins is also my card for flipping. So instead of being a diehard Republican that toes the party line, maybe you flip it and you not so much support the Democrats as much as you support the country that the Democrats currently are on the side of. Underneath it all, and that's a great card underneath it all, is justice. What is the right thing to do? This is the card of putting your country above your party. This is also, if you've broken the law, maybe not doing some things to amend for what you've done is good. And it could be the law, as in the law, but it can also be karmic things. Doing something bad is not ideal, but after you've done that bad thing, what you do about it is a measure of your character. What actions do you take? Do you apologize? Do you compensate? Do you promise not to do it again? Do you take steps not to do it again? It's not just like it's acknowledging the mistake and then rectifying it and then taking action not to do it again. This is going to be the test of their character. In the past, we've got the Hermit card. The light being exposed. And, it's also on the low energy, it's the retreat. Some Republicans, when they've seen the craziness and they've compromised their values, instead of speaking up, they just retreated. They went back into their cave and just hunkered down, waiting for the craziness to subside so they can come out again. Others, and there's not many, have come out and represented themselves. But almost every instance where I've seen a Republican come out and represent truth and what's right, it's after they've been removed from Congress or in the process of retiring before going to Congress. And I'm looking at Liz Cheney, and I'm looking at, God dang it, now I'm forgetting his name. The other fellow that's on the January 6th committee. I give myself permission to remember. It'll come to me. I'll blurt out his name later on as the buffering process works in the back of my head here. Don't wait until you're out of Congress before you do the right thing. You can do the right thing while you're in Congress, right? You are allowed to do those things. So it's in the past. Again, I also think that some of these Congress people are looking at the party. It's just like, this is not what I signed up for. We were supposed to advance conservative values, and now we're in crazy town. Now I forgot. I've gotten so many tangents. I've forgotten the question. Um, the Queen of Cups. Um, with these 23 congressmen. Right now, they're keeping a lid on their intentions. I think if they're not pressed and prodded, they will just toe the party line, and then they will quietly leave the party. But this is a time for them to step up and lead and put country above party. This is not the time to just sort of hunker down in the back of your cave. You're leaving. You have a choice. You can go out quietly. You can go out with a bang. Choice is yours which one you're going to do. Interesting. Overarching energy is the Seven of Swords. How interesting. Okay, Seven of Swords is a card about, theft and sneaking off into the night and taking resources, take things that don't belong to you. It's kind of a betrayal. It's in relationship cards, I use it as an infidelity card, but no, you can look at it as an infidelity in this case as well. The biggest thing that these folks have to overcome is that they feel like if they support the Democrats in this, that somehow they've betrayed their party. But the part of the Justice card is you didn't swear an oath to the Republican Party. You swore an oath to the Constitution. You swore your whole point in being in Congress is to make America a better place to live and to strengthen the United States. Now, how you do that is through your legislation, through your values. And for GOP, they have conservative values. They want to minimize change. They want to slow down change. I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But now the GOP is asking for absolute fealty. And that's not why you're there. So they have to overcome this programming of fealty that the political parties seem to express over there. Now, here's the thing. They're also leaving Congress. This is also a card of, I'm leaving anyways. So, I owe you nothing. I almost swore there. I owe you people nothing. Because look how he's looking over his shoulder. I'm going to take what's mine and I'm going to go. Oh, and by the way, I might just do something you don't like. But no, tough buns. Now, and this is a dual purpose card. Four of Wands is opening day. This is the wedding card, the celebration. Now, on the high energy, it's welcoming somebody in. On the low energy, it's don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you on the way out. The lesson to be learned is the choices that they have to make. Are you going to stay loyal to the party, or are you going to stay loyal to the country? I like this card in this position because that tells me that some group of them will go over and work with the Democrats, not because they want to be Democrats, not because anything else other than they know what's best for the country is to get this funding approved. And it's something as simple as that. It's the just right thing to do. Their job is to protect the country and enhance the country. And some of them, yes, are absolutely going to do it. They are going to take up the mantle and say, you know what? This is the last thing I'm going to do in Congress that is likely meaningful. And it's also a giant FU to the MAGA crowd and those that would turn America into an authoritarian government. I really do think that the Democrats are going to be successful in recruiting some of these retiring GOP members to do the right thing. And again, this is where like the Liz Cheneys of the world come in. It's, this is where Liz Cheney needs to get on that phone call, on the phone, and just start hammering those 23 retiring House members and get them to get on board with funding of Ukraine, not because it's going to betray the GOP because they betrayed Liz Cheney, but because it's what's best for the United States. And work on their patriotism, because Lord knows the GOP just loves to wrap themselves up in an American flag. They act like they're the only patriots, and the Democrats are a bunch of commie, pinko, socialist, fascist, atheistic, God-hating, baby-killing faction of terrible fascist communists. The contradictions abound. But yet these patriots here won't help the U.S. in foreign policy because they're beholden to Putin, the leader of another government, and basically the U.S.'s biggest opponent on the world stage for nearly 70 years. More than that, huh? Call it 1946. As long as Trump's been born, Russia's been the biggest threat to the United States. China is now going to replace Russia as the biggest threat to the United States, but only up until recently has that been an issue. Okay. What will there be enough of these retiring Republicans? Sorry, to finish thought. Liz Cheney not only reminding them that, but if she were the House Speaker, she would make it safe for them to do that. The messaging would be clear, and it would be safe for them to do that. Again, because she's got a spine, and she would be able to stand up to the MAGA faction in the Republican Party and push back on that. But she's not currently, so we don't have to worry about that part of it. But she certainly can lobby, and I'm sure she will lobby, because one of the things she mentioned, again, in a reading from last night, was that it's time for the GOP to push back against the Putin arm of the Republican Party. And these 23 retiring GOP members are likely not part of the Putin arm of the Republican Party. Okay, so will enough of them put country above party and actually sign on for this funding bill? We got the Five of Coins. Right now, this is the funding bill out. Without them, the funding bill's out in the cold. They need help. The funding bill needs help. It's never going to make it to the floor without them. And that's where the wedding card comes in. Will they? And it's like the Democrats on their own cannot do this. They need to bring in these retiring folks. And this could also be the retiring folks from the GOP. They're left out. The GOP is evolving and not in the direction that they want to go. The article also mentions that some of these committee chairs, there's term limits, so they're going to be kicked off their committee chairs anyways. It might be the reason why some of them would be retiring from politics. But I think this is more the funding for Ukraine, especially in the winter here. And this is the Democrats bringing these people in. And underneath it all, we've got the drunken hillbilly brawl. There is going to be a real fight of consciousness for these 23 members. And the Freedom Caucus is going to make life living hell for anybody who's not endorsing their little brand of terrorism. But, this is about the Ukraine conflict. This is about the Israel conflict. This is about the potential Taiwan conflict with China. There's all these conflicts going on and conflicted emotions of these party members that are retiring. In the past, it's the strength card or weakness, if you will. But sometimes to show strength, you have to do things that you don't want to do. Things that you don't like, things that you don't want. It's a bitter pill to swallow. But sometimes you just gotta do it. Current situation is the Knight of Swords. There's going to be an urgency to get these folks on. This is an opportunity. This is basically the Democrats' last best opportunity to get this funding brought forward. Now, I think when I threw last night, I think I was saying it felt like it was going to get blocked. But the Democrats, if they can reach out to these guys and say, hey, this is your job. You can come in riding like the cavalry to save this funding bill. Will gladly take you in to help you with that. Will you come and do this? Three of Wands is about waiting for your ship to come in. This is like waiting for the response to see if they're going to come in. This is also, again, overseas stuff. This whole funding bill is an overseas funding bill, which is so ironic that Mike Johnson's like, well, there's no domestic funding in the international funding bill. Duh, because it's not a domestic funding bill. But I think this is waiting for some of these folks to come over and join with the Democrats to get this bill brought to the floor. Oh, that card looks familiar. The energy is, can you get over the emotional cheating that these folks feel like they would be doing? This is where the strength needs to come in. The bitterness of the bitter pill swallowing is this whole propaganda of party before country that the Republicans have bought into. That's a great outcome, the Sun card. Well, we certainly will find out if they're going to do it or not. I'm hoping what this means is that, yes, they will come through there. You've got your sunflowers for Ukraine. And some of them are going to see the light and understand what they have to do. They have to do. There's going to be drama no matter what happens here. But that they could actually do it. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this goes through. One last little four-carder here. Will this result in at least some funding, if not all the funding that the Senate bill had? I could see a case where we'll do it, but we want less funding, just so that they can save some face. It's ridiculous, but if you're going to pass the funding bill, pass the funding bill. But sometimes they just need that little extra compromise so they don't feel quite so guilty. They say, well, it wasn't 80 billion, it was 50 billion. Yay, team us. Will it get through? At least some portion of that funding. Will some of that portion of that funding get through? Four-carder. Ace of Wands. I think there's going to be definitely some action taken forward here. I think this is going to be a yes. You got the Nightmare. I don't like that. No, don't like that because it's just like, it's like that delay. It's like, taking a long time. Getting it to the floor, but taking a long time to get it to the vote. To get the vote out there. I was asking if they're getting the funding out there. If it was just a straight funding question, it's like, we'll discuss it, but maybe we vote to kill it. Like we only promised you would. What I kind of see happening, and this is why the big sigh is there, is that they kind of get it through, and then it's debated, and then it doesn't get brought to a vote. Or it's delayed, like they want to send it to a committee or they want to work on some compromises or something like that. And the intent is to kill it, is to make it so unpalatable that the Senate wouldn't agree to it. Now, there's going to be some shenanigans. And it's ridiculous. We shouldn't have to be enduring this. The High Priestess is about, divine feminine knowledge and wisdom. It could be foolishness on the low energy. I just feel like there's going to be a move afoot to torpedo this. And table it, torpedo it, make it difficult to get the funding out. Just shenanigans going on. I don't know. I keep wanting to say yes, it goes through, and the cards keep telling me it's not going to go through like I want it to. And maybe that High Priestess card is it's wise that it doesn't go through. I mean, I guess it's because of what my expectations will be if it goes through. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Um, it looks like either it goes through, the vote goes through to put it to the floor, and then it somehow gets tabled or sent to committee or somehow adulterated that it has its knees cut out right from underneath it. I do not like that interpretation, but that's kind of what the cards keep telling me. I think that's what they told me yesterday too. Um, um, Alternatively, it could go through and maybe it gets again watered down or something like that and passes. I don't know. Me personally, I want to see that go through, but this is just one of those cases of just because I want it to go through doesn't mean I'm going to force the cards into reading that way. What I'm reading from this is it seems like it either doesn't make it to the floor. If it does make it to the floor, they try to table it in some way so that it either doesn't come to a vote or it gets thrown to a committee, and then the bill that does come to the floor to vote is so watered down that the Senate, when it goes back to the Senate wouldn't approve it or something like that. That's the given energy with the current Congress. Maybe if there's changes in the current Congress, again, you get a Liz Cheney type energy in there, that Adam Kinzinger, I knew it would come up, or an Adam Kinzinger type energy in there, maybe then that bill comes in and it gets passed. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. Thank you for your likes and your shares and everything that you do to help build this channel and get it out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering this channel, welcome. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Take care.